My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey gang, welcome back. Today we got an old friend back on the show. Shawn Griffith is with Craft Capital Investments. We chatted with Shawn last year about what they're up to, doing great stuff in Texas with multifamily. They were doing the traditional syndication route. Now they're kind of changing gears a little bit, shifting focus toward more of a fund model, a fund of funds model. So, Shawn, welcome back to the show.
Dave, thanks for inviting me back. I really appreciate you sharing your listeners with us.
My pleasure, my friend. So give us a little snapshot. Remind people a little bit about where you guys are at, what Craft focuses on when it comes to the buy box, and what the portfolio currently consists of.
So the perfect property for us is around 200 units, C-class, heavy value add, located in the DFW metro area, specifically in the mid-cities. We really like that core area. And, for us, our success has been taking on these heavy value add, projects that some people look at and go, because there's a lot of work involved in that. And if you don't do your homework up front, you'll end up paying for it.
So I've talked to a few other operators recently, Shawn, that used to be in the value add business. And these days they're trying to avoid that as much as humanly possible, just due to costs of labor, costs of goods, costs of borrowing, declining rental rates, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. So when you guys say value add, what are you kind of looking for, and how are you able to kind of go against these headwinds these days?
So value add kind of falls into two major chunks. You've got the physical state of the building, needs new roofs, needs new plumbing, needs new electrical, needs new HVAC, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then you also have operational value add, where we actually have a property that we've got an LOI out on. We just got a verbal acceptance on it. It has, it's way overstaffed. The people that own it are exiting their portfolio, and they had their own in-house property management. They've got too many people on staff. They didn't care. And so, to me, and when we toured the property, there were a couple of people in the office. Literally, the only thing I ever saw them do was, either playing on their phone or texting or whatever. And I'm going, not a good use of time, but, so, that's what we mean. Is it could be physically distressed or operationally distressed. There's also financial distress in there, but that's a different piece of it. And
so what does value add look for you guys these days? More the operational side of things?
It's actually both.
Okay.
It's actually both. This one, when we go into, like 60s and 70s projects, we assume out of the gate that we're going to have to put new roofs on it, new plumbing. We budget probably for 50% of the electrical until we get into it and look, and then we'll either bump it to 100 or we'll bump it to 0 if it's already been remediated.
Yeah.
We just budget for everything going in, and then we kind of start our CapEx budget high, and then as we do our due diligence, we bring it down closer to reality so we can negotiate. And sometimes we find stuff that, we look at it and go, okay, we can fix this, but not at the price they're willing to sell it to us. So we have to go back and retrade the price. We've done that on a couple of deals over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And now, do you guys have a hope, because you're so focused on that specific area, Dallas-Fort Worth, do you have your own in-house construction reno team? Do you guys subcontract that out? How do you keep a rein on cost there?
Great question. It's a combination of all of the above. Our property management company has, anything that we can do in-house using our in-house maintenance team, we do. Matter of fact, we just had a lender inspection on one of our properties that came back with a list of, 20 things, and 15 of them the in-house team could do pretty easily. The other ones, they go, and this is really beyond what we can do, because one of them was like a pretty large concrete job. They were going to have to do some cutting, and we said, to hire it out. Because we've got, really good construction and vendor contracts. We also have a partner that goes in with us that manages the construction piece of all of the rehab. So he's got teams that he works with that can come in and do literally everything except the electrical.
Cool. All right. Well, you got that dialed in. So last time we chatted last year, you guys were on kind of the syndication model when it comes to raising capital to buy new properties. So you'd find a property, you would syndicate it, you'd bring on a bunch of limited partners for that specific deal, you'd take it down, you'd operate it, et cetera, et cetera. Sounds like these days you're kind of switching gears and going more towards operating a fund, and specifically a fund of funds. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and the thought process that has gone behind that.
Okay, so for people that aren't familiar with the fund-to-fund business model, it's really where someone that has a good network of people either already has a fund and they know what they're doing, or they're interested and they start a fund. And it really comes down to, does that person have a good network of trust with a group of people? If there's somebody in your circle that you're always asking, hey, what are you investing in now? And you actually listen to what they say. Somebody like that is a good candidate to be a fund manager, because if it's structured properly, somebody that can raise $500,000 or more can make money raising money legally without having to go through all of the SEC licensing and everything. Now, I just grossly oversimplified that. Okay. There's
we'll put all the caveats there. Yeah.
There's a whole host of things that you need to do so you don't end up wearing orange in one of the federal country clubs.
Yeah.
But that being said, if somebody's willing to put in the work and is willing to leverage the relationships that they've developed over the years, we can work with them to show them how to turn trust into cash flow. And
so I guess the first question is, why have you guys decided to switch to this model versus the traditional syndication you were doing before?
So what people have done in the past with syndication models, they will bring somebody in that says, hey, I've got 4 or 5 friends that I can bring in as investors as well. And I want a little piece of the GP to do that.
So they want to be a co-GP on a deal.
Right. And the SEC is starting to take a really hard look at deals that have more than, 5 or 6 GPs on them. If you have a deal that's got 18 GPs, you're asking for trouble. And so what this allows us to do is it allows us to pay the fund manager. Well, they actually end up paying themselves. But what we do is if somebody brings $500,000 to $1 million, we give them a little bit better preferential treatment than we do what I call our mom and pop investors, our regular syndication people. Mm-hmm. If somebody brings $1 million plus, they get even slightly better terms. And the whole idea is that they take those better terms and they share that with their investors, because one of the concerns that fund managers have is, if I bring investors to your deal, what's to prevent them in the future from going around me and investing with you directly? And the answer is nothing. But if you take care of them and they invest through your fund and they get, slightly better terms than if they had invested with me directly, then everybody wins.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com.
Okay, cool. So we were talking a little bit off camera, Shawn, that you see that there should be some questions people should be asking themselves before they get involved in investing in a fund or starting up their own fund of funds. Tell me a little bit about that. What have you come across?
Yeah. So a lot of, and I'm sure people brought this up on the show before. Matter of fact, I know they have because I've listened to a few of the podcasts. There are dozens, if not hundreds of questions you should be asking somebody that you're writing $100,000 check to. Okay. Those same questions need to be put to a fund manager to make sure they understand the deal well enough that, and I would treat, the fund manager, one of the first questions I would ask somebody that said, like Dave, if you came to me and said, hey, I've got this fund and we're going to invest in inner tubes. Okay, great. How much of your own money are you putting in that fund, Dave? That would be the first question I would ask. Because if they're not putting their own money in it, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's perfectly legal to do that. But I would want to understand why they're not. But for me, if somebody's got a fund and they're not putting their own money in it, or they haven't at least put their own money in it at some point in the past, that's a red flag to me. Same thing with a deal. If somebody came to me with a syndication deal and said, hey, we've got this great deal and we want you to write us $100,000 check, but we're not putting any of our own money in it. But it's a really great deal. I'm going like, okay, if it's such a great deal, why aren't you putting some of your own money in there?
Right. So for you guys, what do you typically put into your own deals, or what are you looking at doing now that you're starting the fund model?
Well, we're still going to do the same thing. Typically, the lenders require the GP team to put in somewhere around 8 to 12%. N's usually the round number. So if we're buying a $10 million property and we're taking a $7 million loan on it, they expect us to put in $700K as a GP team.
Got it.
And that's typically what we shoot for. I would say 95% of the time, all of the GP team participates. Every once in a while, you run into a situation where, somebody on the team might be liquidity constrained at the moment and they just can't.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the team steps up and covers it so that we have the liquidity that the lender requires. The other thing the lender requires is that after you close, you have 10% of your liquidity left. And so that can be the hard part sometimes. It's like, well, I just put $700K in this deal and you still want me to have $700K sitting over here in the bank. That's why you don't have too many people that buy properties of that size by themselves.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants $700K just sitting in the bank, earning like 0.01% or whatever it is today.
Absolutely not. Okay, so you're switching the model towards this fund of funds model. Makes sense. It's safer for everybody involved. Have you guys started doing this already, or is this a new initiative for you?
We did have 2 fund managers come in on our last deal that closed back in September.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be working I think our goal is to have 4 fund managers on the deal that we have an LOI accepted on. We don't have a contract yet. So, it's, who knows, right? I mean,
Yeah.
until the paperwork's signed and the money's in the bank, the transaction's not done.
So typically, are you finding that most of these fund managers are already quite experienced in all of this, or are you getting people kind of like you alluded to before who have good networks, but perhaps haven't done this before? Are you helping them kind of jump through all the hoops and get set up with their own funds? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, we have a process that we work through to vet the person, because first it's got to be somebody we want to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. If it's, somebody with, questionable character, or, they've had bad business dealings, that's an automatic no. But once we find somebody that says, yeah, we want in and we like them, then we work with them. If they don't already have a fund, we work with them to get it set up. We have some vendors that we work with in a couple of different spaces. I'm a huge proponent of Cash Flow Portal. It's my favorite investor app. If they were all equal across the board, I would still go with Cash Flow Portal just because their customer service is white glove.
Got it. Okay. So you got this deal kind of in process. If you could wave the realistic magic wand, what do you guys want to do over the next 12 months or so?
So we'd want to close this deal. Realistically, it'll probably close mid-May, mid to end of May. So we'd like to close 2, maybe 3 more deals this year. We're also on the hunt for some other companies, things, like construction, roofing, concrete, anything that's like home services related. It's still a learning process for us. We've submitted a couple of LOIs on, there were like 2 different concrete companies we were looking at. And so, it's a work in progress.
And you want to add these companies to kind of get a little bit more vertically integrated there, or what are the goals with these acquisitions?
2 words: cash flow.
Okay.
We're, a lot of our investors that we've talked to is, we still love multifamily. We still want to invest in it, but we need cash flow. And so we're looking to buy into things that not only can we grow our company with, but also help our investors, grow the cash flow.
Interesting. So it's kind of spreading away from direct real estate, or adding other business investments on the side that directly benefit what you're doing with the real estate.
And we're gonna use the same model we use for our real estate. Is that we're not going to go buy a concrete company and run it. Just like we're not going to buy an apartment complex and run it. There are people that do that way better than I ever could. And so, we hire a professional property management company. When we're looking at businesses, we're looking for ones where, there's like an owner that's been there a while that wants an exit and is either willing to stay, or one of his partners that's already there is willing to stay for a couple of years, or maybe even permanent basis, and operate the company. And we're going to be a capital partner.
Got it.
And provide, business support, ideas, connections, because we have a lot of good connections across the metro area.
Very good. Well, Shawn, you got lots of exciting stuff on the go. If people are listening or watching this and they'd like to connect with you, what's the number one best way for them to do that?
They can check out our website at craftcapitalinvestments.com. That's craft with a C, craftcapitalinvestments with an S.com.
Perfect. Shawn, thanks for being back on the show.
Yeah, Dave, really appreciate it. Always great to chat with you.
Likewise. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.